Hey, I know this is a long video. Please watch it. This isn't clickbait or anything like that. It's serious. I almost lost my hunting buddy yesterday on a hunt, a all-day hunt that turned deadly. So just please watch the whole thing. Thank you. Bye. Okay guys, I got this video for you about my hunt yesterday. Day hunt that we planned to do, and me and my buddy, my hunting partner, went out and a day hunt gone deadly. Okay, obviously I'm here, but something bad happened yesterday. Bad. And I've been hunting a long time. Okay, I've hunted many places, different types of terrain. I'm a native born Floridian. I love Central Florida hunting. It's my favorite. Even though I've hunted all around, yeah, I know people rag on the sides of deer, all that doesn't matter. It's the sport and the meat, and I put food on the table with it. So a little background about myself too. It's a little bit important. As you can see, USMC, I'm a Master Sergeant retired. I was a Scout Observer in the Marine Corps. I was a Forward Observer, Naval Gunfire Spotter, and Forward Air Controller with a unit called 2nd Anglico. Along with other jobs, I had 7 different jobs. I was a drill instructor as well, if you've seen my bio or even cared to look it up or whatever. Just to give you a little background, and that's not really what this is all about, but it will come into play with me personally throughout this video. I please ask that you watch this video to the end. It's important if you hunt, not just here, anywhere. If you're a hunter, it's something that we used to say in the Marine Corps: complacency kills. Complacency killed in combat. I did 4 tours overseas. I got a Navy com with a V. I didn't, you know, like I said, I didn't want to make this about any of that, but you know, over there in combat, if you got complacent, it got you killed. Okay, same thing with hunting here, and there's all kinds of dangers with it, anything you do in the outdoors, anything, whether it's hunting, hiking, whatever. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong that can hurt you. So this video is about my hunt yesterday. All right, I did a short. I let people know, hey, I'm heading out in the woods. A normal day, woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. Takes me about an hour and a half to get there, 4:30. I stretch and everything before I go into the woods. I sign in at the gate where we sign in at. And this week, a lot of the areas were closed, so I'm in the military side of where we hunt. And so we had 3 places that were open. So I'm sitting there waiting, and my hunting partner come in, and I linked up with him, and we discussed our plans for today. And he had found, when he had shot the hog, if you watch my other video, he shot the hog. I helped him track it and all that. Well, when we were doing that, he found a stand, and I wasn't really sure exactly which one he was talking about, but he found a stand. He said it looked good, and like he's going to try to hunt it. It wasn't his stand, okay? And we talked about it a little bit the previous day, just texting back and forth about what we're going to do. And then he had decided like he was going to hunt that stand and then figure out what he's going to do in the afternoon, if the stand was good to go. And so I cautioned him, and in my mind I was kind of like, oh, we probably shouldn't do that until after we get a good check in there, especially going in at dark. Well, I was going to my other spot to try to do I was going to ground hunt in a little ground blind, and I also have a climber in there, a climber stand. And we talked a little bit, and he was like, well, why don't you just go ahead and go up in the climber? I'm like, yeah, you know what, I think I am. I was going to try to do the ground just because where the camera's at and the deer crosses, it would have gave me a little bit better like shot. But then again, I'm risking getting busted being on the ground with my scent and all that. And so I messed around with it back and forth. And overall, just in our conversation, decided, hey, I'm going to go on my climber. And he said he's going to go in that stand. And we were talking in the trucks. We just had the trucks parked, and I had to go to one side of the area, and he went to the other. It's about 500 yards apart. As it pans out, where we park our trucks is probably about 150 yards apart. So rogered up. We both knew exactly where we were going to go. I knew where that stand was, and I know the area really good in there. I know it like the back of my hand. Like I said, I was a scout observer. That's what I do. I know how to navigate. I know how to get through the woods. I know how pretty much anywhere. I did long range reconnaissance course up in the mountains of West Virginia. I did all kinds of stuff, okay, that gave me this ability to do the things that I do. But in short, we coordinated, all right? We knew, and we were gonna go in for all day. I was gonna go up in my climber, and we're just sitting there all day hunting. He was gonna go up, and then he said he'd probably move to another stand that's his down after he hunted that one stand in the morning. So we departed our ways and said, good luck, be safe, be careful, man. Check that thing really good before you get up in there. Make sure it's good. Oh yeah, I will. And hey, we all do it. Shouldn't, but sometimes we just do things we probably shouldn't do, and we end up regretting it, right? So what happened, I go down, and like I said, I go park on the other side. Then I got about 400 yard walk to where I cut over into the woods, about 250 yards up into along the river and the marsh and the swamp that I cut through to get to my climber stand that I got. I get up in there, and like I said, I changed my mind from hunting the ground to hunting the climber. So I'm getting up in there, I climb up my climber. Everybody knows how that works. I've got my harness and safety harness, and got all my stuff, got the camera hooked up. I was going to actually try to film with my video camera. I'm trying to get that down to get you guys better footage of actual shots and when deer come out, and I'm trying to just work through these things. It's a good little hobby. But I finally get all situated. Now, me and John, we had a saying where we just kind of check on each other in the morning, and then throughout the day we're like, hey, you good? And just to make sure we're good. Well, as I was getting situated, and like I said, turn around, I was getting everything situated, and I just pulled up my bow, and I heard a real faint, and it sounded like a fawn, and I got fawns in there, like a fawn bleat, and I was like, that kind of sounded like help. Well, I listened again, and I heard, help, real faint. It's hard to make out because from the distance it sounded like a fawn bleat, like a lost fawn. And then I heard a third, and at that time I was already pulling my phone out to say, hey, I'm up in my stand, you're good to go. Well, when I had my phone on silent so don't ring or anything, but I'd had a missed call and a text message. Text message said, help, Derek, I need help. I've fallen and I'm at the bottom of my stand. My legs broke. My heart dropped. Because this is the last thing you want to hear out there in the woods. Well, I take my bow, hook it up, lower it down real quick. I put my strap up with my hooks on the tree. I had my my quiver with my arrows, had my bag on the other side and all that. I grabbed my bag, and I hadn't put on my ghillie suit yet, my camouflage, because I like to cool down. Once I get in there, cool down a little bit, and then I throw all that on because I got scent stuff on and things like that. So I had it laying out to put on. Well, I took that, tucked it all in my bag, threw my bag. I just dropped my bag, just dropped it. I left my hook up with my quiver and everything up in the tree. Unhooked myself, got my climber down, and I'm like, I'm coming to get you, brother. I'm coming to get you. I knew where to go, but I was going to beeline through the woods, because on foot and going through there just to get to them, to get them help, I could get there quicker, because I know my way around the woods, even though it's still dark. Couldn't see your hand in front of your face up in the hammock. I was going to bolt across. Luckily, he said, I was able to call 911. Off his map, he was able to give them a grid coordinates, but they had no idea how to get in there. He said, can you, and I found that out later about him giving grid coordinates. He said, I need you to go get them and bring them to me. So instead of shooting through the woods, I turned back on how I get in there, shot an azimuth, and beelined it straight through out to the road. Got out to the road, and I ran all the way to my car, about 3/4 mile, all the way to my truck. Got my truck, like I said, it was only 200 yards, but I had to get in that to drive around the other side. So I jumped in my truck, I already saw the fire truck, the ambulances, and the police cars, the sheriff's department, already over there. Everyone's standing around, they're trying to figure out where he went in, where his truck is. There was 2 roads, one went off one way, and then the other one was the one he was on. They didn't know which one to go down. They were trying to figure out how to get to him. I come pulling up in my truck, I jump out of my truck, and they're like, are you did you Derek? And I was like, yep, that's me. Boom on here, but that's my name. I said, yeah, it's me. He's like, hold on. I said, no, let's go. Just follow me. Let's go. Let's get down there. So I start, my adrenaline's rushing. I'm like trying to get to my friend and get him out of there. Had no idea what was going on other than that he said he had a broke leg. I was amazed he was able to be able to get his phone out and do the things that he did. So I'm booking it. I'm leaving all the EMS, the sheriffs, all of them behind. I turned on my red strobe. I had my light on. I put it on the brightest setting I had, and on the back I have it where I turn on. Sometimes when I'm coming out, especially in gun season, I'll turn on the red light strobe flashing on the back. I turned that on because I was just leaving them, I was smoking them, so they could see it. And I kept turning back, making sure they see me. I ran into 2 hunters that were in climbers along that same pathway going in there, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, my buddy fell out of the tree stand. I'm going to get him. And I said, your hunt's probably ruined, because there's about 8 to 10 people behind me, EMS, police, name it. I didn't even know. I just was like, boom. So I'm the first one to get up there to him. He's laying on the ground. I didn't know exactly where he's at. I started, when I knew I was around where he's at, I was like, John, sorry, I didn't mean to say it, but hey, where are you, bro? Where are you? And he was able to turn his light on, and I could see the light where he was at. And I was about 10 yards coming up on him. And I was like, all right, got you. All right, I'm coming up. Got up there, loosened up his clothes, got him cool, make sure he's getting water, tell him breathe, telling everybody, hey, get up here, we're gonna need a brace, we're gonna need a mobilizer, all that. You could see his ankle and his boot popped out. We didn't take his boot off, left everything in there because that was already kind of like stabilizer. Just so you know, this is where they cut his snake boot off. Okay, kept it. I have all his stuff. I helped get all his other stuff out. But we immobilized them, put them on a spine board, helped lift them. They were able to get side by side up in there. One of the 4 wheels in the back, 2 wheels, 4-wheel drive. Was able to punch down this pathway, muck, mud. We were in the swamp, deep. And they're all thankful that I was there. John was thankful that I was able to get there and get them in there, because it would have been way longer for them to find them. So while I was going in to find him, to get him with them tracking behind me, they had already had helicopters spun up in the air. They did an outstanding job in response and all that. But response is only good if somebody knows how to get to you. These guys, no fault of their own. Other than they had the coordinates and all that, if nobody knows where you're at, you're gonna find yourself in a deadly situation. Good news, my buddy's alive. Bad news, it could have been very deadly. I've been hunting a long time, and I don't mind people telling me, hey, be safe, be careful, do this, don't ever get complacent. Like, I know a lot of you have been hunting a long time. You understand all this. You probably, well, I would have done it. Yeah, we all would. And then there's people that never hunted before getting into it that need to hear this message over and over and over again. And I'm not here to be that, I know everything, because that's the point that I'm trying to make. There's a lot of things that day that led to my buddy being able to live. There's a lot of things that led to the incident that shouldn't have happened. There's a lot of things that go on in the course of a hunt that could go wrong, or you might get lucky, just like getting a deer. A lot of times it's just about being at the right place, right time, getting lucky. So getting back to, they got him out with the side-by-side. There's a ball field. So many of you that hunt here probably already know where I hunt. There's a ball field. They were able to land the helicopter in the ball field. They got my buddy in there, put him onto a gurney at the ball field, got him all immobilized, and then they cut his boot off. And I'm gonna put in there just a warning, a little bit graphic. Not a lot of blood, but you'll be able to see, especially if you're on a big screen. I don't know how this is going to pan out, probably a big screen. But basically what happened is the final outcome, when he fell out of the ladder stand, he dislocated his ankle out off of his foot, and it was protruding out through the skin, but inside his boot. Left the boot on. That's good that luckily my buddy's also, he worked for a while as a nurse, and he was a prison guard, and he's a retired sergeant major in the Marine Corps, so we get a lot of training. Had 2 fractures in his leg. That's kind of what caused and popped his ankle. Not to be like how it goes with the foot, pop that part out of his skin. He was laying down on the back where he fell back on the ground with that going on in his boot. Fracture in his left outer humerus. There's nothing they could really do about that as well. Could have been way worse too. Even though that's bad, could have been dead. There's all kinds of things. If nobody knew he was there, if he would have passed out, if he would not have been, if he had been knocked out, if he was not able to get to his phone, if he didn't have somebody like me there that knew where he's at to get them in there. Okay, we did a lot of things right, but we even still, I go back and I go through my head, I need to be doing better. We always need to do better. Because there's no deer in the woods or hogs or whatever you're hunting, turkey, whatever, that's worth your life. Where he had fell back, if you know what a cypress stump is here in Florida, they grow around the cypress tree. They're like little spikes that grow around the cypress. If you're not familiar here, if you're familiar with Florida, you know, or Louisiana, anywhere that has cypress trees, you know what cypress stumps are. They're like little spikes. Some of them can be 2-3 feet high, some of them can be 4 inches. They all are shaped like a pierce. Right next to his head where he fell back was 2 of them, about 8 inches. If he would have fell back on that, he already has a bad neck, cervix, where he had his neck fused, all that. If he would have hit that, that would have been it. Lights out, done. he was able to yell, and I was, after 2 times, was able to pick out that it was help, but then it went silent. So he yelled 3 times, help, help, but his body was going through trying to resist shock and all that. I didn't know if it was him, maybe somebody else. It doesn't matter, help is help. But it's kind of hard to do distress shooting or whatever, right? If you're in archery season, and then you don't even know if somebody shooting at a hog or deer, whatever, boom, boom, that might be 3 times, whatever. Again, there's all kinds of things. But something that I want to bring up in this, that made a mistake, and I thought about it, and I should have said it to him, but we're all wrong. I just, kind of balance of what's saying too much or not. I thought about telling him, hey, don't get in that stand in the dark in the morning. I don't know nothing about it. If you don't know nothing about it, and that would have prevented all of this for that time, unless later decided to go up it or did. But when you go, you got to check and bang it, hit and all that. So basically, this is what happened, and I'll put in here somewhere the pictures of the stand. The stand had been there for a long time. It's double rail. He said that he shook it and pulled on it and all that. I don't know how much or how good. I wasn't there. I was on the other side. Wasn't his stands, don't know, but felt like, hey, it'll be all right. It looked good, felt good to him for whatever he did. Started to ascend up the ladder stand, to which he never sat or knew. Where the rust had went, the ladder coming down started to fold in, and he felt it while he was climbing up in the dark. He always wears a safety harness, always wear your safety harness when you get up there. Not gonna beat on, that's the things, but these are things, the safety harness does you nothing until you get up there and you hook it in your hook point. And there was a hook point at the top of that stand, it was an old stand, but it did have a hook point with a strap and a carabiner to hook onto. And he always does that. Checks, he usually doesn't, hey, just wanting to get that different. Like that area, it was on top of a game trail, thought it was gonna be a good hunt. Don't do you any good until you get up there. But that's why knowing your own stand first, that's good. Then you can come up, there's all kinds of ways. You can run a line with a tether and have you a figure 8 or something where you hook it around you and go up as you climb up the ladder. 3 points of contact, all the things that we know, always maintain 3 points of contact. None of that though mattered in this instance. What mattered the most was these old stands being left out there. If you leave your stands out there and then they go to rust and you lock them up, oh, I don't want nobody steal them and all that, and then you end up not going back out there and leaving them, you're creating this hazard. Sure, nobody should go in there, but we all know when we get out there, oh, no, it's pretty good, I've done it, I'm guilty of it. I've climbed up in stands now, usually it's daylight, and every step, and I shake the crap. I found tons of them out there already, and I rip them off the tree. I bust them off the tree when they're all rusted and all that. So this incident wouldn't happen, and unfortunately my friend, my hunting buddy, battle buddy, is not going to be in the game now for a while. He's going to have to ground hunt. We don't know, and thank God he went through surgery today. Everything went good on his leg. They were able to put his foot back in, put it back in socket. I'm sure it's going to be damaged for a long time. I don't know, but I'm just thank God that he made it, and that they were able to do what they've done so far. Everything's going as good as it can be. But I want to talk about this with these ladder stands specifically. I use a saddle hunt, which means I'm always tethered to the tree, or I use a climber, which even when I'm going up the tree, I should put the tether. I put it on when I get up there and hook in. All right, I might be changing that. But even in my climber, I'm in an enclosed climber, and even if it slips or whatever, I'm only going to go to a certain level. And I'm not going to fall through, and I got a platform that I'm standing on, but I'm tethered to I'm hooked into that tree that I'm climbing. I've been in saddles before where, oh, I forgot my lineman's rope. I'd be real careful, and I'm going to unhook it and hook it over a branch. And I've done it. Is it right? No. You got to be more safe. But biggest thing is if you don't check it out during scouting season or been in it before in the daylight with somebody there with you, ladder stands, check it with somebody there when you're checking it too. If you're out there scouting around the woods and you think you found one that you like, unless you're 100% sure that that thing is 100% safe, do not get up in there. Mark it. Get you a buddy. Go back out there, both of you together, so in case something happened, you get up there and you shaking in, you fall or whatever, or tie yourself in and check these things. More importantly, this is your hunting woods. Get in there and take them out. Bring bolt cutters if you have to. Go to Harbor Freight, buy some bolt cutters if somebody locked it and you could tell it's been there for like 10 years. Bring a damn Sawzall with a metal blade on it and cut the bottom rungs off of it if you can't get the whole thing off. If you know that it's dangerous and it's been there years and it's just dangerous. This thing is dangerous. I've climbed up many a ladder stands, not tied in or not, and I probably, to be honest, I'll probably always climb up ladder stands, especially mine that I know, without being tied in or hooked in. You could probably hook in with a tether, as you know, keep a 4 foot as you go up, and hook it onto each rung as long as they're strong. There are all kinds of things. Biggest thing is be safe and be careful. Let somebody know where you're at. I'm guilty of it. I told the wife, hey, I'm out. You might be scouting around, walking around. There's all kinds of things that can happen to you, but somebody needs to know at least a starting point to where they can start rotating. If you tell somebody you're going into this area or this zone or you're here or there, make sure that that's where you go. I'm guilty of it. Don't like, hey, I'm gonna go here, and then things just, I walk up and there's like a bunch of hunters or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go over here. That's fine, you could do that, but let somebody know, hey, I'm not in that area, I'm in this one. The zones are big, they're usually marked out. Or give them a grid coordinate if you have it on your phone. They might not know what it is, but it's something that they can say, hey, Fish and Game or police or whatever, here's the coordinates, the last coordinates that I have of him. To give that initial starting point so where they can start working from there. Bring dogs if they have to. They were bringing dogs out, but luckily I was there. I was the dog bloodhound, get in there for them. But they were trying to get dogs out there so they could get up in there. But like I said, there's 2 other hunters. How's that even gonna come up with a plan that you're good when you get up in the stand? You get up in a climber, you get up in a shot, whatever it is. I'm up in here, I'm good. Hey, I'm about to get down. Just let people know kind of what's going on. And I hunt places that I have no service. It is what it is. And I hunt a lot of times alone. It's hard to get people to do what we do. A lot of people, they just hunt 100 yards in off a road or whatever, and pretty easy, same stands or same place every time. But there's a lot, I watch all you guys' videos. I know you watch mine. I get out there, I love it. I get out there, and I'm gonna continue to do that and get out there. But I am making a promise to myself to do better. Because while we had a system in place that day, he very easily could have went out by himself because he lives closer. He can get there a lot more days than I can. And I wasn't even gonna hunt, really, to be honest. I wasn't gonna hunt, but I was like, yeah, and we were both talking about it. He's like, yeah, I can make it in this, and I was like, all right, yeah, and I'll see what I can do, and I made some arrangements, was able to get out there, and thank God that I did. thank God that we coordinated, and he told me like, oh, I'm going to this one instead of the other one that I helped him put up in there. That's his, that we know's good, and it's strapped in, and I helped him put it up, and we both went in together to put that up. That's, you know, there's a lot of the ifs and all. But do not get complacent when you're out there hunting. Don't start off, if you're new to hunting, by something tragic like this. He's older than me. He's about 13 years older than me, and you know, loves being outdoors. That's what he has. It's hunting and his faith in Christ. And I believe a lot of that helped with him with this. So this is important, and I hope that people actually watch this video. I want to put in here the links of him getting flown out and things like that, and his foot coming up here soon and all that. And but before I close this out, like I said, I'm a Marine veteran, combat veteran. There's combat veterans at every branch of service, especially after 20 years of our war on terrorism or whatever. But I suffer PTSD, okay? I can kind of get a little temper, but that isn't really that's just been me. I'm a Marine, I was a drone, so it's not really a temper, it's just I get loud, you know, Marine, sympathize. But I have PTSD because I dealt with a lot of traumatic events and trauma over there, from seeing people blown up in IEDs to seeing people killed, murdered out there on the streets, from you know, in their own neighborhood, all that, patrolling, and people getting shot in front of me. I don't want to go over it all, but you guys get it, especially if you're in combat. And if you're not, you get it. You watch the movies, you watch shows. Yeah, I did all of that. So after getting him out, they flew him out. I went back, got my stuff off my stand, got permission from the game wardens to go down the road I walked. So at least I just only had to go in to where my stand stuff, to grab my climber stuff off my climber and all that, and my bow, and bring it back. But then I had to go get his wife because she hasn't driven in a long time, and I want her to follow me, just be safe. I had to cross to Johnny, like, please, like, help her to get there. So help my buddy's wife get there. Got him in, and by the time we got there, it's a 2-hour drive just to get there. Plus it took me about 45 minutes to give a statement, reports, talk to game wardens and police officers, exchange numbers, get my buddy's truck moved over to a safe place, get his gear, all that, whatever we had to, locked up in his car and his truck, and then get it put in a safe area, all that, and get to my buddy's house to help her get there. So it was a while before we got there. By the time we got there, they had already reset his foot back into the joint. Got that, I'm assuming, stitched up. It's all wrapped up, couldn't see, but I'm assuming they probably stitched up where it punched through his leg, through his skin. Got his wife there. Then the reality, everybody's safe, and I've done everything from getting his wife. That's poor health. They're older, so a little bit poor health. But got them all there. They're safe. My buddy was just so thankful, and he kept, and I started to crash right there, and I had to excuse myself from the room and go home because my adrenaline was coming down, and my PTSD, and I've had a few of these incidences, but I haven't had one in a while. Last time was probably about 4 years ago, where some kids, not around 4th of July or anything, lit off a bunch of firecrackers, and it made me jump and like take cover. Then I realized it was firecrackers, and then my body escalated up, and I was pumping, doing what I did, and then my body just started to go back down. Then I started relating back to my combat tours overseas. Same thing here happened. Once my adrenaline left, I felt my body just, it's hard to explain, I just started to crash. I started tearing up, crying. I'll put it here in the end of this video. What I did out in the parking lot, I had to sit in the parking lot for probably about 25-30 minutes to let myself wind down before I even felt comfortable to drive. Let that just get my body calm again, get the emotions, because I kept going back overseas, and then with John and how close he was to losing his life, and people that did, and how I drove people off the streets in Iraq, and things like that. And it hit me deep, like all the things. I probably didn't even, I still, even with this video, it's 34 minutes now. And this whole video is probably gonna be an hour. And like I said, please, I hope that you stay with it. And just to kind of, I don't have all the, I might be missing stuff that we could have done, could do better, but it's to stoke the mind to always try to make sure you're not going to prevent all accidents, but make sure that at least somehow you don't want to end up falling down out there in the swamp, becoming drug off by an alligator here in Florida and tucked under branches and all that while your body decomposes because nobody can find you, or get ate by the hogs. That's another thing. My buddy, when he's laying on the ground, hogs were coming through because it's a hot game trail. And he told me he was trying to make noise because he didn't want the hogs getting up on him, being on the ground and mobile. I can only imagine what his mind was going through. I don't know if they would do that or not. I don't put it past wild hogs. But man, we need to just make sure we're keeping each other in check. Don't let ourselves get to be too much of a professional that somebody don't remind us about the importance of letting people know where you're at. At minimum, like that somebody can get in there. I think about it like, once we would have been, if he would have got up in there and then that thing collapsed and broke and then he fell or got knocked out or unconscious, I know for a fact, I wouldn't have known until later that evening. We were playing an all-day sit. He was going to do his thing over there. I was going to do mine. I mean, I would have checked during the day, but if he didn't answer, I'd be like, oh, well, he's just hunting because he's not the best at checking his phone. I'm not either. That's things that need to be fixed. Need to have at least, come back. If you're going to do an all-day sit, have intervals set up or something. Like I said, I'm brainstorming. I'm gonna try to get something down to make sure that this stuff's covered, because the area we're hunting was pretty small, relatively small area. I mean, it's huge out there and all that, but like I said, most of it's closed down. That's why we're hunting in this little small pizza slice looking place that I know like the back of my hand. A lot of hogs in there mainly. There are doe and things, but more hogs than anything. But it's an opportunity to hunt, and we're going to do it. But it could have very easily been like when I hunt Green Swamp up here, or Rich Loam or something like that. You could be out there. And I've done it before. I've been out there scouting around, walking around. Nobody really knew. I mean, other than I was in Richland, but if you know Richland, that's freaking huge. If you know Green Swamp, that's freaking huge. Need to break that down at least into a segmented area and say, I'm not going to go out of this area if you're going to scout around. It can be 1,000 acres. It can be 2,000 acres. Hey, at least. And don't cross those lines. Make your own boundaries and don't cross that somebody knows that you're in here and this is a starting point. If you can give updates, you got signal, give updates. Give grid coordinates, send it. All kinds of things. Because my buddy could have been knocked out, laid there. And I know it's sinking into him too. And I know he watches my video, sorry brother. But you know the deal. We have to make sure that people enjoy this sport we love and that we enjoy it and that we can do what we can do to help people. So I'm going to get off the bandwagon about this. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you like. I'm going to give more. I'm still going to be getting it hunting. I love it. This is my sport, and getting some more videos. And if you hung around this long, I got a surprise for you, because that evening at 1600 or so, you'll see it in the photos on the game cam that I have over the climber that I was sitting in that day that I was going to all day sit in. I had a 6-point buck. First one with a legal rack. I've had a couple other bucks, a spike. I had one that didn't have brown ties, so it was like a 4-point, I guess. I couldn't see the whole thing. It was one that peeked into the camera. But I had a 6-point buck, nice little buck, legal, that if I'd have been in that stand, depending on if he scented me or whatnot, I would have been able to take. And I have them sniffing on the ground because I took a little bit of regular doe pee because they're not in estrus yet. But I put a little bit of doe pee where I like them to stop where they're coming across the game trail. If I want them to stop, I just a couple drops on the ground. Don't a lot, just put a little bit where you want them to be. It doesn't always work, but in this case it did. He stopped right there where I know exactly where I put that, and where his nose is on the ground, he's sniffing that doe pee. Because they're starting to check because it's getting close. Here, October, next month is when it kicks off where I hunt at, the rut. So they're starting to check. They're wanting to check these, just regular people, whatever. He's looking, and I would have got him. So that's a surprise. I put it in here somewhere, or here, or wherever. I'm putting that picture in there so you can see. I'm not bullshitting. He's got the date stamp, time, and all that. And that was right where I was at. So please like and subscribe and help me out trying to get some more subscribers. Hope you enjoyed the message. I mean, it's not the best term. It's not about enjoyment. It's about, you know, just putting yourself in check about and looking at your situations that you've been in and things that you've done, what you've done wrong, which, hey, we all make mistakes and we could do better. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say is we got to always be thinking about these things, because a lot of things went right to get him out, but a lot of things went wrong, and a lot of things could have went way worse, and luck helped with peace, and God saved him to get him out of there. So here's the rest of the video of the footage I got of coming out. I wish I would have got more, but I respect John, all that. I didn't film him a lot and things on there other than what you see when they're cutting the boot off. And plus, you know, my importance was getting my hunting buddy, my battle buddy, my best friend out of the woods safely. So thanks for watching. Here's the rest of it.
How far were you from him?
About a mile. A little bit less than a mile. All right, tree stand safety. Do not get in bad tree stands. My buddy here, broken ankle, who knows what else. He's gonna be getting flown out of here. Tree stand safety. Do not get in bad tree stands. Check them way before you try to use them. So. Yeah, compound fracture busted it, blew his whole ankle out, so that's not good. So this is why you got to check these stands, make sure that they're good to go. He's going to be getting flown out of here, but it was a bitch getting out of here, and he's lucky that we coordinated. Always coordinate your locations, your positions, let somebody know where you're at, because this could happen to anybody. So I just helped my buddy get out of the woods, and a little bit emotional. But these hunter safety stuff, I mean, there's so many things, but these old tree stands in the woods and all, I didn't know which one he was going in. And, you know, ain't no deer worth your life or being paralyzed or any of that stuff. You know, I'm a combat veteran and I've seen a lot of stuff, and I suffer PTSD and things like that. Not like I'm crazy or nothing, but when things like this happens, it causes me a rush. So I don't know how I'm gonna put this video together, but I'll put this in there somewhere. But I just hope people watch, because I'm gonna try to put together a good video on tree stand safety, and just some of the things that, and I've been guilty of it too, you know, that we just don't think about. So, but it's important. You know, I probably lost my season hunting buddy for this season, but I'm just thankful that he's okay. He's going to be okay. They put his foot back in places, out of his foot, a couple fractures, and then his shoulder was fractured as well. and it could have been much worse. His head, when I found him, was like 10 inches from cypress stump that would have, if it would have hit him back of the head, that'd have been done. Or if I wouldn't have been out there, which there's all kinds of things that I'll go over in the video that could have went totally different and made this a casualty. I'm talking not, there was hogs moving in too as well through there. Just, I don't want to get too much into it now, but I just wanted to record this because it hit me really hard. I'm having an adrenaline crash now and a little bit of my PTSD. I'm in the hospital parking lot. I got his wife here. They had to fly him out, fly him here. It took me 2 hours to get here. They're in there. I did all that I could do. Got him here, got his wife here, got him in their safety, and I was able to just breathe again. And it's where PTSD sucks. I start going back in my head.